Happy Halloween, people. Let's talk about how you can make your next horror movie with cinematography inspired by horror and suspense. Underlighting. This is a classic technique. Underlighting is basically where you have your light lower down than your subject's eye level. Creates a very creepy primal fear in people. See, we're used to seeing light come from the sky. That is our primal, natural way of thinking where light comes from. Light below primarily means fire on the floor. It's a danger signal. It creates these very unnatural looking shadows on the face. Like, see how my eyes have these U's underneath them, like I've got big black circles. See how my brow is pronounced a lot more. See how my lip darkens my mustachy area. It all looks a bit wrong. When I move my hands around like this, you can see how they cover up the light on my face. And have it set to a hard light rather than a soft light. The more things look a bit unnatural, the less soft they look, the harsher and creepier they look. And you can set it to a very natural looking type, which looks a bit more ghostly and just like creepy with the undershadow. Or you can have it at a warmer color temperature and set it to something like fire. So if it's flickering and you get that round the campfire look and you get the spooky story style look, this underlighting style is very, very creepy. Let me switch back to my regular setup because I don't particularly like this orange light. I was just doing it for the Halloween lols. That's much better. Blue background light, color separation, golden hue hair light, much more like my TikTok setup, which I use quite frequently. Now the clips I'm going to be using here are primarily from a Kickstarter promo video that I shot with Alice Quinn. She is an incredibly talented artist who is putting together an anthology series of horror comics. I'm not involved with the actual Kickstarter or anything, but I really think that it's going to be a great thing, so I really recommend you check it out. There will be a link in the description. I shot this promo video for them, and I had a really great time doing it because they gave me a lot of creative freedom. They had some really great, creepy, creative ideas. Now, there's something very creepy about just the outline of a person. Silouetting. The silhouette is a very stylistic choice. Basically, the best way to do it is to light up the background and keep the subject in darkness. Now, this eerie kind of silhouette can be very creepy. It adds attention to things when you can't see the person's face. All you're looking at is the background and the movement that they might be there. That creates tension and suspense. The silhouette is one of my favorite looks and a favorite of world famous DP Roger Deakins because he's used it in pretty much everything he uses. Although I don't know if he shot a horror movie before. Has he shot a horror movie? Can anyone tell me that? But what he does do really well is build suspense. And at the end of the day, horror is just suspense brought to life. I love using haze. Haze is a great way to bring atmosphere to your image. If you can shoot through windows with lights and use Venetian blinds to create rays of light through haze, or you can shoot it through a church window like I did in Apocalypse Killer. The rays of light make things look very alien, that kind of like Close Encounters sort of vibe to it. And it just makes things feel a little bit eerie and cold and mysterious. That kind of thing you see in the cold when your breath becomes visible. Having that haze in the area creates depth because things in the foreground are a lot more clear than the things in the background, which are a little hazier. It makes things mysterious. Sometimes these things are called volumetric light or God rays. Association in our brains with the superstition with God, it just creates this very eerie vibe to things. When light hits haze and it picks up the little particles of oil floating in the air, then the air becomes your own light. It becomes a very clear cut things of where the light is and where the light isn't. The phone light. See, now if I have my key light turned off and I just have this phone light, it's again a little bit of underlighting. When you have it on yourself and it's just lighting you up and you're just scrolling, we use it to emphasize Alice's eerie loneliness of scrolling through a phone late at night at 4 in the morning. It creates this very minimalist approach. In the same vein, flashlights. That phone light or the LED light on the back of the phone is a flashlight. Whatever way you want to look at it, it's using the minimal lights to highlight a single individual thing. That allows you to hide things in the darkness that you can bring out later. Next up, color temperature. I like to set things at night and create this very blue, unnatural looking color temperature. It's this night vibe. You can use CTB gels on your lights and set your color temperature to natural if you want to, or you can just set your white balance to incandescent or tungsten or 3200 Kelvin and have every other light at daylight. We did that with our regular lights, with the color balance of the lights being set at 6500 Kelvin and other lights being set at 32 or 2700 Kelvin. Create this orange and bluish kind of look, just very unnatural. Nothing was quite ever right enough. Sound design is a huge part of things, and at the end of the day, using effects like a flickering bulb can create this very eerie vibe. We did it in a similar way with Apocalypse Killer, where Kelsey's character was holding that torch and it was flickering on her face, while you had the blue lights in the background shooting through the trees with all the haze in the background. And here's an interesting term that I think all filmmakers should learn, and it is chiaroscuro. It means light and shadow, and that is very important with horror because it is just as important to sculpt with your shadows as it is with your light. See how my key light is creating a drop shadow on me here? It slims out my face, allows my backlight to sort of like highlight me a little more. That is where you're using shadows, and if you want to use your shadows even more for silhouettes lights or for the God rays or things like that. Whatever way you want to do it, shadows are just as important as how you light your scene. If you've ever heard the horror terminology, what you don't see is just as important as what you do see. This is this taken to the next level. When it comes to effects lighting and sound design to go with that, whether it comes from the fire below, faulty bulb above, another great one is lightning. That's built into all aperture bulbs, and most modern LED bulbs have that effect built in. At the end of the day, these are just some basic cinematography tips and ideas that I had when I was filming this thing. Candles can also be great, although just be careful that you don't accidentally burn your house down while you're doing it. This is not an advice to start lighting things on fire. Please don't do that. But if you keep learning and keep moving forward, you'll always do better. These are just some basic techniques when it comes to cinematography with horror and suspense. Let me know if you think I've missed anything out. What would you add to this conversation? What techniques would you add to make things a bit different and creepy, more horror-like in your vibe? Let me know in the comment box below. Thanks very much for watching.